your brain goes into like more like theta state where it's suggestible, right? Brain is open to suggestions and like creativity, because when you are in the state of survival, you're like high beta. You're just like trying to like survive. You're getting chased by like your clients or your phone calls, but in your mind, you're basically getting chased by a tiger. If because our brain is it's a old mechanism, right? So we think like that, and in that moment of survival, we can't not be creative.
Today's episode is brought to you by Andy Bovender, the founder of the Bovender team out of the Carolinas. Him and his team have successfully helped more than 5,000 families. So if you had a client who's been thinking about making a move to or from the Carolinas, they are absolutely the team to call. Today, I sit down with Jumpei Kontani, who shares his journey of meditation and mindfulness practice. So I know this business is crazy. It's chaotic, it's noisy, and there's so much going on that we often lose ourselves in the process. And so this episode is a really nice reminder and reset of how to get back to just feeling a little bit better day to day. And with that, if you've kind of needed a community, a place to go and connect with other agents and maybe even share referrals, I have formed this really amazing mastermind group called the Inner Circle. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, scroll down to the description below and join the waitlist. And as always, I'm your host and San Francisco referral partner, Shawn Kunkler. Jumpei, welcome, man.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for carving out some time to do this. To give the listeners some context really quick, I was recently invited to do I can't remember. It was either a 6 a.m.ers or a
It was 6
momentum.
a.m.
It was 6 a.m.ers.
Yeah.
It was amazing, minus the part of waking up super early. But what I loved about it was you kicked off the meeting with a mindful meditation. And I was like, holy cow, this is so much needed in our industry. So I wanted to grab you and basically pull you into a conversation about how we can show up differently for ourselves, our business, our families, the whole nine yards.
Great.
So if you could, to kind of get everybody up to speed super quick, in a couple sentences, who are you and what do you do?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that intro. I am a residential real estate agent here in San Diego, especially North County. I live by the water. I've been in the industry for about 7 years now. The meditation part came in after I actually needed meditation a lot more than everybody else did. Before real estate, I was super into yoga and meditation, and I grew up. I was actually born and raised in Japan, and my grandma, both of my parents were working, and they had their own businesses. So my grandma basically raised me as a little baby, and she does energy healing. And so she basically took me to different hospitals and different facilities, people's houses. She pack food and she bring it to those people, and she does energy healing. She goes home, and I was always with her, and kind of growing up thinking that was what people do,
Yeah.
And she took me to her basically a shrine, and I got certified in energy healing as a 17-year-old. And anyways, I came to the US when I was 18, and I discovered yoga and meditation, and I learned so much about this philosophy of yoga and meditation. It's about self-exploration, and I'm a big traveler, but I learned after traveling 40 plus countries, wow, hold on, it's not outside, it's all the wisdom, and everything is within. And I stayed in many temples and shrines in different places, ashram, and I volunteered in many places, and that was my background. And I came into real estate and this place was a total like 180, maybe 360 different
Yeah.
world where you do not stop. You do not, it just keep grinding, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And one time I was, first couple years the hardest. I was door knocking and I was cold
Yeah.
calling and doing everything that I was told know what to do. And I stayed in the office. I was the last person at the office, and sometimes I take a picture of myself and post it on the Instagram saying, "Hey, I'm still here. I'm still grinding. Look at me." And after a couple of years, I just learned that, like, what am I doing? Like I just kind of came to me like I just can't work every day, every minute of my life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I kind of wore it as a badge of honor.
Weird,
And
right?
it's so weird. And that's when I came back to meditation.
Interesting.
Um,
Um, there's so much I want to unpack, and it's like so
sorry, I was
fascinating
like,
to me. I love that. Did your grandmother, was it Reiki that she practiced, or was it a
yeah,
different energy modality?
it's. I think Reiki is one of the closest things you can probably say,
Interesting.
that.
And,
Mhm.
and you got certified in Reiki at 17?
Yeah, yeah,
That's funny. I
I
think I was
was.
certified when I was like 20, give or
Oh
take.
wow,
Yeah.
no way,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Oddly. And weird. I'm almost 50 and I still kind of default to it.
Hmm.
I studied Kung
Hmm.
Fu, I studied Tai Chi, so I
Oh no
understand
way.
like the different. I haphazardly learned a little bit of acupuncture, which has the different energies and things like that. So
Right.
I kind of understand. It's like real estate. Once you get your license, like you're dangerous enough to you know enough to be dangerous, but you don't really know enough. That's how I feel. I'm not a good
It's a good
practitioner.
one.
Um,
Right, right, right.
that's
Yeah.
so it's interesting. So you started down that path. It
Mm,
sounds like very, very, and you were exposed to it very early, which is cool.
right. Hmm. Yeah, but it was also funny how I lost myself so quickly in this
Yeah,
industry, uh,
agreed.
because I think I thought I have to be certain way to be a realtor, the hardest working person, and like I'm always picking up
Yeah,
the call and always know the numbers and always door knocking into your open houses. And I just had that image of what realtor looks like to be
yeah.
successful. And I just completely lost my practice. And yeah.
Have you been completely neglecting your newsletter, social media, or any of your outbound marketing? If so, I have a solution for you. With little to no commitment, a virtual assistant can jump in and help you in those areas you just don't have the time for. For more information about hiring a virtual assistant, go ahead and follow the link in the description below. Yeah, I just heard a quote the other day, and it's now my new favorite quote.
Okay.
And so before I share it, when I first got in the business, I had, and it was
Mm.
kind of like a joke, but it was like written down. It was on my in my cubicle, on my first desk, but it said I got into real estate because I choose which 80 hours a week I work, and we wear this like this grind mentality as a badge of honor, and
Hmm.
but it has no there's like running yourself ragged in your productivity. One doesn't equal the other. And the
Right.
quote that I love that I recently heard is, if basically if hard work was what it takes, the donkey would own
Hmm.
the farm.
That's a good one.
Right? And it's like, oh yeah, like that's not necessarily like this thing doesn't equal that thing.
Right,
It's
right.
and it goes back to the old adage of work smarter, not harder.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and and smarter is sometimes, as Sky Michaels, I know you're friends with him too, but it goes back to his healthy, selfish, like
Hmm.
feed yourself first. And
Right.
so with your when you hit that like critical point, what was your breaking point when you were like, I'm done. Like I can't this path is not sustainable for me.
Hmm. Thank you. I don't know if I had actual like rock bottom or those like, moment where I just realized like I can't no longer do this.
Mm,
But I think it was over time. It was like kind of chipping away. And also I think it's almost like I think one time I was working really, really hard. And one day I needed really meditate. And so I went to Santa Barbara to see my friends, and I ended up hiking by myself, and I did meditation for actually 8 hours in the mountain, just like just sat there, and in
wow.
that moment, it just came to like so many wisdom that came to me. Um, that was kind of my turning point. I feel like I really need meditation. It's not like optional; it's a necessity for me to be actually dropped down to my heart space
Mm,
and not
mm.
operating from my mind and from this like a lot of people call it monkey mind or roommate. So however you want to call it. Um, there's a lot of noise that's happening in our mind, but when we actually drop down and listen to our heart, and a lot comes to you.
Mhm.
So I think that was my rock bottom. I feel like it wasn't probably year 3 or so in my industry. Yeah.
It's fun. I'm like thinking about my own path, and I feel like I was similar. Of
Mm.
it's like yeah, like year three is when it's the business starts clicking,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
then you start taking inventory of
Hmm.
like you have more a little bit more time to think about yourself,
Hmm.
and then you start realizing like holy shit, I am like I've burned the candle at both ends for 3 years straight, like without a
Right,
day
right.
off. Wait, so at that point you did an 8 hour meditation?
Yeah, I used to do longer meditations.
Serious? That's
Yeah.
I don't think I've gone more than an hour. That's I'm impressed. Like that's a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, that was like straight 8 hours, I think. I stayed in a monastery in Thailand for 3 weeks.
Mm.
Part of like silent meditation called Vipassana, and that was almost like you wake up. Well, they'll feed you at 7 and 11 a.m., and then the
Mhm.
rest you just meditate. You don't. It's a silent meditation, so you can't talk. You can't have an eye contact. You can't write anything. You can't say a word. You just stay with yourself 24 hours, and you just
Oof.
meditate.
Hey, real estate pros, be honest. You know you should be using video, but maybe you feel awkward, don't have the time, or just aren't seeing the results. This is where Kim Rittberg's Video Bootcamp comes in. This live coaching program helps agents create high quality videos quickly and confidently, resulting in leads and clients. Her students have seen results. One landed 3 new clients directly from social media, and others brought in millions of dollars in closed sales. Spots are limited, and to apply now, follow the link in the description below.
Yeah.
I've never done that, and I have no context of it. But do you? It must be like a very surreal experience. Like, does it kind of feel like you go in and out of almost like a dream?
No, really. It's almost like, yeah, everything becomes very crystal clear. You start hearing, I was in the top of a mountain in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, but you can literally hear birds from miles away. And it, it it's not really dreamy. You're so awake. You're so aware of what's happening. Um, And it's easier to do that in the mountain where there's no distraction. I think I actually do enjoy this, this part of human world is this is actually more practice. And then there's so much. I actually love when I'm teaching meditation and someone's phone rings, or someone just walks into the door, because that's the actual real life example of like, hey, this is what's happening. Life happens, right? People move around, there's things are happening, but only thing we can control is us, and then how we respond to the environment. um
Good point.
but yeah. Mhm.
And do you practice more of like a chanting style, or do you do a quiet, like,
As far as meditation practice goes, like I've studied different modalities, but I love just quieting my mind and drop into my heart space.
mm,
And then it sounds easy to do, but kind of difficult to do. It's easier to say than done, right?
for
Um,
sure?
and when I say like dropping into my heart, is like really quieting my mind. And I've studied, like Joe Dispenza's like, I don't know if if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza. He's like, he's a neuroscientist, and he's also a meditation instructor.
Mm,
He wrote a book called Becoming Supernatural. And meditation is it could be a spiritual practice, but it can be broken down to scientific ways, right?
yeah.
And he's teaching, when you go to his retreat, he does your brain scan, and then like how much activity that's happening in your mind, and like before and after meditation. And it's so clear that after like few minutes, even 5, 10, 20 minutes of meditation, your brain activities really slows down,
Mm,
and your brain goes into like more like theta state, where it's suggestible, right? Brain is open to suggestions and like creativity,
mhm, mhm.
because when you are in the state of survival, you're like high beta. You're just like trying to like survive. You're getting chased by your clients or your phone calls, but in your mind, you're basically getting chased by a tiger. If because our brain is it's a old mechanism, right? So we think like that, and
Mhm, mhm.
in that moment of survival, we can't not be creative. But when
True.
we actually drop down our heart rate and our brain waves, the magic start happening. And so my meditation is almost like really slowing down, really pausing, breathing, and like come up whatever comes up in that moment, the sensation, feeling, emotions, thoughts, all that comes up for 15, 20 minutes first, say.
Mhm.
And after that, there's like this place of like really silent and peace. And
Yeah.
that's when I feel like I get all the wisdom, and I call it download. I'm like, wow, you know pay attention.
It's I haven't practiced in a while, and you're definitely inspiring me to go back and practice my meditation. And
Mm-hmm.
you're right. There's For me, the first 15 minutes, it's a wrestling match of trying to get
Mm-hmm.
everything to calm down. And
Right.
then there's a moment when it just like it just you just feel this like this immediate settling. But then the interesting thing is as soon as you acknowledge the settling, you come back out of the settling. And so it's like this mental match that's happening all.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's like I've never actually succeeded lucid dreaming,
Yeah.
because every time I'm in the dream, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually in the dream. I get to do whatever I want, and I wake up.
It like pulls you right back out.
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah, yeah.
like it's yeah, it's similar. It's like that flow state. It's like when you're in the
That's
flow
right.
state, it's happening. Once you recognize you're in the flow state, you're out of the flow state,
Hmm.
and it's like,
Right, right.
darn it, I just lost it. But it's so
Yeah.
it is. I remember I've been in and out of meditate, like my personal journey with it. when I was younger, my mom was like a leftover hippie. I love her to death, but she
Okay.
definitely she was like vegetarian my whole life. She
Oh wow.
like like we didn't have any junk food in the house. Like very,
Wow.
she was like very much on that path. But when I was probably 10, maybe 11, she took
Mm.
me to this gentleman named Mohammed who taught me to meditate. And so
Mm.
I was similarly to you, like I was exposed to just this this different world, which then I was like, oh, that's normal. And I didn't realize
Right.
until later, like, oh, it's not normal to hang out at the health food store and eat vitamins and have a mom who's vegetarian and do this meditation. And so it's
You're very lucky. Yeah.
very blessed in that regard.
Hmm.
But it's also I've it's always been a challenge. Like I fall into, I
Mm.
get into it, I fall out of it, and then peak COVID is when I really had to get back into it. When
Mm.
we were on lockdown and there was just stress. Our business was stressed. Like money wasn't coming in. We weren't essential.
Mm.
Who hell knows what was happening with the government and politically and just like all this
Right.
craziness. And I just, and you're stuck literally in your four walls inside of your own head. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
God, that was my breaking point.
Mm.
And I remember, I don't know, maybe I started just doing like 15 minutes a day. I tried all different
Mm.
apps to get back into it. And then I wound up doing more of a chant style, which I find works
Mm.
better for me. But it was probably like a
So you did
month.
like transcendental meditation?
No, I haven't. I've never formally practiced it,
Okay.
and
Right.
I'm like less than a beginner with all of this stuff. Like
Mm.
I'm a really good dabbler.
Okay.
Is really how I would sum it up. But I just find that like if I the original style was repeating one word
Mm.
was the very first style that I learned, and then in Tai Chi, it was more of we did Qigong,
Mm.
and it was more there was a
Right.
moving style, and then there was moving
100%.
meditation, then there was a quiet mind meditation where it was
Hmm.
focused more on breathing,
Hmm.
where you really focus on that. But then I randomly had a lunch with a gentleman who pulled me aside and he was like, "You should try this." And it was the
Mm.
weirdest, most serendipitous moment. And I got onto that like this chanting direction, and
Mm. Oh wow.
it seems to just it it works a little bit better for me.
Hmm. No, I think I do that sometimes too when the mind is really, really busy
Hmm.
and I let them like, give them a task. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird to say, but yeah,
yeah, that's
right.
what it kind of feels like. It's interesting. I find, especially like peak COVID, when we were on our
Hmm.
phones too much, and I remember, you just scroll endlessly on your phone, and
Hmm.
it's weird, but scrolling endlessly definitely triggers my ADD, and then I feel like my
Mm.
mind feels like a popcorn machine, where it's like all these chaotic thoughts are coming up, but they're so fragmented that
Right,
I'm
right,
already on
right.
to the next one. And I think to
Hmm.
your point, having a chant for me gives my mind, here's one thing to just pay attention to,
Hmm.
and it seems to quiet the rest of that
Hmm.
noise.
Hmm. Yeah, you're tapping into such a incredible topic there too. Just cell phone and social media and how we are trained to be reactive,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like I was way more grounded and calm before a COVID or even before real estate. Like I people are like, oh, you have ADHD. I'm like, no, I don't. I never did, and it feels like I kind of do now. Like I'm always, I leave stuff everywhere and like doing all this project and and that's probably why. Um, I need meditation the most. Like I do not miss my meditation practice every single day because it's almost like, the best masseuse. I heard this and I totally resonate. Best masseuse is the one who has a bunch of knots. Because without having knot, you don't know what it feels like to be in pain.
Yeah.
And like I do agree, like be on the phone and like, okay, I need to, send this contract to this person. And now you open, LinkedIn, and now you're part of LinkedIn world. Like, anyway, hold on, what was I doing? And that being reactive, there was a teacher that said, I think dive deep on being like the difference between reactive and being responsible. And English is not my first language, so I don't dissect the words like he did. But he was basically saying responsible means like response able. You
Oh,
are able to
interesting.
observe, you're able to observe the situation and then to be able to respond.
Yeah.
And whereas, yeah,
Interesting.
reactive is you basically, you don't have time to observe. You're just doing it for doing sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hear you. And then during COVID, I lived by myself in a detached home, and I couldn't see my friends, and
It's
it drove me
maddening.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like literally maddening. Which is also weird because you've done like
right,
3 weeks away on a mountain without
right.
speaking to another or looking at another person in the eye. Like, and so it's fascinating to hear you say that because you've had
Hmm.
these other experiences where you were extremely detached but felt a completely or had a completely different experience from that detachment. But in this world, it was like I know what you mean. It was like a really shitty feeling and experience.
Yeah, I do think I wouldn't say there's two different worlds, but
Mm.
when we live from a mind space, like you, there's so many to-do lists and responsibilities, and you know, just endless of these thoughts that we have in our mind. And that's where we kind of live in the society, American society, right? When I was in Thailand, everything was not, there's no a pressure to do certain things. You don't need to be, a great human doings to be a good human beings. I think a lot of people just mix those two. Like we're not human doings,
Yeah.
right? We're human beings, and just being ourselves is already enough. But it doesn't seem that way.
Mm.
Like there's never enough. There's always more. There's another phone call to make. There's always another deal to close. And it's this constant, need of being being successful, or being, all that. I think we all have that as real estate professionals,
Yeah.
and that is all coming from our mind place. And
I agree.
yeah.
I think there's been with the rise of social media, I think there's been a reorganization of our human priorities and
Mm,
significance is now on
mm,
the top of everybody's list.
yeah.
And it's like you become significant when you're in the top 1%. You're
Right.
significant in real estate when you buy the Mercedes or when you buy those Prada shoes or whatever it may be, like whatever the
Right.
thing is. And we then get caught up in that cycle of, and to your
Hmm.
point, you become like this human doing and we're not even most of the time. And I know, because I'm speaking this from experience is you then achieve these things and you're still not fulfilled. And so then you go
Hmm.
find something bigger to achieve and you achieve that. And then you're like, well, I'm still not fulfilled. And you
Right.
just, it's like add, but we never
Hmm.
go back to our minds and let's subtract some stuff. Like we don't need all these
Right.
crazy thoughts. And we're so much of our day is on autopilot. It's wild.
Hmm.
Do you know how,
Hmm.
this, I did this probably like a month ago, but I would, I need to go back and redo it. But basically, log out of all your social media. And
Ooh.
so every time you want to go in and post something or look at something, you have to physically log in as
Oh wow.
one bar of entry. So then it
Mm-hmm.
makes you be more mindful. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
other crazy thing is put all your social media into a folder on your phone and then
Mm-hmm.
move the folder to the last page. On
Mm.
autopilot, you will be amazed at how many times you naturally click where it used to be.
Oh wow. Wild.
Like automatically, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we even realize how programmed we are for chaos
Mm-hmm.
and,
Mm-hmm.
until we start stopping.
Right. No, I hear you. And then I think you, as a practitioner of qigong and tai chi, and some meditation, I think they really talk about a qi, right?
Correct.
Qi is like life force and energy,
Yeah.
and it's very clear to me when I'm on social media, when I'm on like yeah, especially social media. I feel like I'm leaking my qi. I'm losing my energy. I'm spreading all my energy so thin
Yeah.
and not really using that to things that's very important to us. So no, I will probably need to do that. I have this thing called, like, I don't know, I think it's an Apple setting where I can only use 15 minutes a day for certain apps,
Oh, brilliant.
and yeah, I use that for Facebook and Instagram and all the social media. But like, I think challenges is like, and then this could be an excuse, but also like real estate, we do a lot of social media, which I heavily rely on social media, and
Yeah.
I get a lot of like direct messages, and so that's part of a job, quote unquote a job, right? Like,
I
oh, it's
agree.
part of my lead generation, and I have to be responsive, and so
Yeah.
I can't just limit 15 minutes, but I can probably like time block,
Yeah.
okay, from noon to 12:30. That's the only time I can touch, and the next one is going to be 3 to 30:30.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's funny. I reached out to you via social media. Like
Right, that's true.
you ran the meditation, and I was like, oh, let me look up this guy and like learn a little bit more. And so
Hmm.
I like I think it's a good tool, but it
Hmm.
becomes like this. It's designed to be highly addictive, and if we're
Hmm.
not careful, that's when it goes down the other path, and then
Right.
it makes the meditation practice just that much more important because you mentioned the monkey brain and there's so many different ways to explain it, but I find
Yeah.
spending too much time
Mm.
chasing that dopamine and that thrill of the like or whatever it is, it
Yeah.
it creates a bigger and bigger need for me to stop and
Mm.
practice meditating or just some sort of reset.
Right. Right.
It, and I I'm reflecting this on my own life in this business. And the hard part too, when you sit down to meditate, is oh, I have to call this agent, I have to follow up with this client.
Hmm.
Like, where's that inspection report? And it's now that I'm
I can
thinking
so
about it,
relate.
once in a while,
Yeah.
if I know I have like a lot of chaos, I'll sometimes just keep a notepad next to where I'm meditating and just
Oh my
write
gosh.
so I can like let it go because otherwise I can't let
Right.
it go because I'm like,
Mm.
oh shit, I have to store this for later. Like, I'm gonna go back to
Right.
meditating, but I'm storing this, so now I'm like not really doing the activity. I'm trying to make sure I
Mm.
don't forget. It sucks, man. It's so
No,
hard.
that might be actually a really good exercise to do, because our mind, oh my gosh, I almost forgot to follow up with this person, or the inspection
Yeah.
reports and appraisal and all this stuff. Yeah. But I think a lot of people, when they do meditation, they think they have to empty their mind, and of course that would be great, but
It's not.
let's be
Yeah.
real, like, right? It's not how it works. It's not, you can't just switch on and off like your brain.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, what's healthy is being mindful and like acknowledging the thoughts, and whatever comes up, just be with, you know, and maybe
Yeah.
jot it down. That's awesome. I've actually never thought of doing that, because I'm in meditation, I'm not going to move my body. um, but no, I actually like it. And one thing that you mentioned earlier about the significance, it's so true. And I think especially in the real estate world is kind of that's what's expected.
Mhm.
You are driving a nice car. You have to portray success to attract more success, and
Yeah.
so social media like top 3% or 1.5% nationally, and all these things. I feel like not only we want to be seen as successful, but also that's how we get more business, right?
Yeah. And it's one of those things. It's almost like I want to meditate on this. Is that true? I love asking that
Mm.
question. And it's like, oh, is that true?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like as I'm unpacking it with you right now, I think it's true in the beginning, but I think there's
Mm-hmm.
also a point in your career where I've closed deals in Hawaii on the beach,
Yeah, right.
right? Like I'm physically not even there, but I have such deep relationships with clients that they know my knowledge
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have geographical boundaries, and
Right.
my knowledge isn't governed by what pair of shoes I have on that day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I think the business can transcend if we allow it to.
Right. Yeah. That's something that I would like to actually dive deep on with agents.
Yeah.
The need of significance that you mentioning earlier. I think that actually crushes a lot of people
Yeah.
and creates a lot of anxiety.
I think that's the root of the cultural anxiety that we feel is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because social media, I mean, we all know this. No one is putting bad stuff on. We're putting our best clothing, our closings, we're showing our clean car. We're
Mm-hmm.
showing our smiling family. We're showing our
Mm-hmm.
happy dog. But no one ever shows that those days when you got two deals blowing up
Right.
and you totally forgot to like do this really super important thing and then you just got a call from your doctor with really bad news
Mm-hmm.
and like literally your whole world is collapsing and no
Mm-hmm.
one's seeing that. And
Right.
I that's the hard part about social media is
Mm-hmm.
we're not privy to that side of it. And I think the other shitty thing with social media, not to go on the rant, but if you're friends with 100 agents, which most of
Mm-hmm.
us are, especially on Instagram, and each of those agents showcases one good thing per day, you
Mm-hmm.
have 100 days of people succeeding. And so you then feel if I'm not succeeding like them, because then the
Mm-hmm.
perception is all of them are are succeeding equally the same for those 100 days, which is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Is if we're not exceeding expectations for the next 100 days, we're a failure. And then we put
Mm-hmm.
this other, there's like so many layers of pressure that
Right.
get piled on. And it's just not true. And so then we
Mm-hmm.
scramble more, we do more, we get more chaotic in our heads.
Right.
And, it's sometimes you got to erase the chalkboard
Mm-hmm.
before you can start writing more stuff and having a meditation practice. So if somebody's listening and they're like, you know what, I do need to meditate, I'm going to ask a couple different questions, and so you can
Yeah.
take your time unpacking these. Is I know I've heard through the years it's a religion, which you can definitely unpack and talk about. But then if somebody was totally green to this, where and how would you even advise they start? Um, as basic as like what time of day, how long should they
Mm-hmm.
do it? Should they use an
Mm-hmm.
app? Like in your experience of which is clearly robust, what would you share with all of that?
No, that's a really good question. I would say when I first started really, if you were to start meditation for the first time, I would encourage people to use music, like
Mm.
background music, or like there's so many things on YouTube and Spotify you can listen to. And you know how you were saying about like giving your mind a task. It's almost like
Mm.
that. Like meditation is nothing but being in the present moment. And
Mm.
so, like, if you are very, very like paying attention to music, for instance, if you're in the mountain, you can listen to the birds. But if you're in city, uh, you don't want to hear cars or people's phone ringing, right? I think it's really helpful if you have a music that is soothing and it helps you feel calm.
Mm.
Um, and the app that I usually use is called Insight Timer. I've used like Calm Up, I use like Headspace, I use many different places.
Mhm, mhm.
And it might they must be really really good, right, for like guided meditation. Um, but the one that I use is called the Insight Timer, and you can see how many people have meditated today, and with like how many people are meditating right now. I think it's tell you it's kind of like it's community. It's a
Mm.
big space, and you can have guided meditation there. You can have they have music, they have background sound, they have like a bell that they use. It's pretty
Mm.
simple app to use, but I love that one a lot. Insight Timer.
Nice.
Mhm.
And what would be like if somebody were totally green to this, they'd know nothing about it? Would you
Hmm.
recommend trying to do it every day? Would you recommend kind of a like
You know,
what schedule?
so like meditation, I think the huge math about meditation is like sitting down and like not doing anything, your eyes closed and like complete peace, right? Like it doesn't have to be that way at all. Like I think even if you're like running or if you're doing yoga, if you're doing something that is you are completely like in the present moment, or you can't think anything else but that is a mindful practice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, but if you were to do actual like meditation, like sitting down and like I would say um, I always start my day with meditation. So I wake up and I go straight into meditation.
Nice.
Um, just 15-20 minutes, and I do breathing, and I go on the Insight Timer and I do 15 minutes, just because it's kind of like going to the gym, right? Like, I couldn't do it this morning, I'm gonna go later. That later never happens, and by the time you want to get there, you're already tired, you already have so many tasks to do.
Yeah.
So like almost like eating the frog, that philosophy of like
Yeah.
you have to do the hardest thing first, but also you have to do self-care first.
Yeah.
This morning I woke up and I meditated. I ran to the ocean. I jumped in the water. I swam for a minute, and I came back and I journaled. That was my morning, and
Amazing.
I would never negotiate my morning with anything else, even if my clients really need me. I'm like, this is my time.
Yeah.
So I think also like kind of time blocking your uh, self care. That selfie. What is it called? Healthy selfish thing.
Healthy
Um,
selfish.
right.
Or
Yeah.
yeah. Healthy selfish. Or selfish healthy. Healthy selfish.
Healthy. Yeah. Healthy selfish. Yeah.
Um, yeah, which is,
Um,
I mean, it's a big difference between laying in bed in the morning and scrolling for 20 minutes before you get up. Like
that's
it's
another
what
thing. Like
it's
I
choices.
try not to use my phone right away.
Yeah.
Um, I have sometimes I use my phone alarm, but I have this alarm that actually lights up in the morning. So
Mm.
gradually it becomes like brighter
Oh
and
yeah.
brighter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. You can get it on Amazon, and you're not touching your phone, because as soon as you touch your phone, you already are on.
Exactly. Yeah, you're
Right,
immediately into the autopilot mode of being on your phone and scrolling.
right.
Yeah, it's funny with me when, and it's this, I love this conversation. It's a great reminder for me to get back into meditating. But for me, mine was always in the morning.
Oh, you do? Okay.
That was for me always the best time because it's kind of the calm before the inevitable storm, before I get to my
Right.
desk and clients and calls and everything
Mm.
else. But Cielo, my fiance, hers is right before bed. Like that's her
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
And it really works for her. And
Mm.
she's tried the morning, she's tried afternoon. It's
Right.
like, and so I think the practice, the exploratory part is you just got to try stuff. Like there's
And
no wrong answer.
people, right? I think that when people are starting, mindful practice or meditation, they tell me like, "Hey, I fall asleep. I can't stay awake when I'm meditating." Like
Yeah.
that's great. There's no judgment, and like I think that's where we need to come back to is like it's a safe space. This is
Yeah.
practice. Nobody is professional at it, and if you fall asleep, if you yarn, if you like sneeze, it's just part of it. It's not like
Yeah.
you close your eyes and next thing you're in nirvana. That's not how it is. So if anybody's starting, I just be like, I think that's even harder than doing meditation is to be kind to yourself and
Great point.
not being judgmental. You don't have to there's no a certain way of meditation. There's no certain way. You know what I mean? Like you can't just be successful at meditating. Like it's the journey that what's important rather than just the destination.
I mean, that's such a great point. It's like we just talked about being significant, and the whole world is like creating so much pressure for us. When we meditate, it's the only time that we can just have zero pressure on ourselves.
Right, right.
And it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's like anything else. It's some days are better, some days are easier, some days are not. That's what happens. And some days,
Hmm.
I know for me, like some days, 2 minutes is feels like 4 hours, and other
Hmm.
days, an hour feels like 2 minutes. Like I don't know why. That's just the nature
Hmm.
of the beast, and you just
Right.
have to, give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, and still applaud yourself for making that attempt that day, and try it again tomorrow. And it's,
Hmm.
but I do remember I was talking to a friend. I was probably maybe a month or 2 months back in consistently, and
Hmm.
there is something else that happens once you get onto a streak.
Hmm.
When you it'll just it becomes you. It's really weird. Like it's not you're pushed to do it, you're pulled to do it, and it becomes like a
Mm.
very different experience. But
Yeah.
I remember being in a conversation with a friend, and I just felt calmer. I felt more
Mm.
tuned into what they were saying.
Right.
I felt different, and
Hmm.
it's not necessarily quantifiable, or I can't put my
Yeah.
finger on this thing. You
Hmm.
just start feeling better, which is nice.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and that's another point, right? Like when was the last time you felt so overwhelmed? Like you felt your heart rate spiked and like you just like you're sweating, you like have so much anxiety and so much stress in your body. And did you have a tool to bring the anxiety and the blood pressure down without taking medication or
mm,
drinking another coffee or drinking Red Bull or taking Adderall? Like, let's be real. Let's be real. Like, how often do you use those quick fix that's actually hurting you in long term
it's true.
when you can actually use practice like meditation to come back to what's really important? It's you.
Yeah.
There's nothing else other than you, because if you aren't taking care of yourself, like who's going to? Yes, maybe your spouse, maybe your partner, your kid, I don't know, maybe somebody will take care of you, but at the end of the day we need to put out the oxygen mask first when the airplane's crashing. Like you can't
True.
help others, because if you're dead, like there's no point. So meditation for me is just one of the practices. Qigong is great, Tai Chi is great. I just want people to have a tool to come back to just for a glimpse of present moment and wake up from the dream of like, okay, who am I serving right now? Like, what's important in this present moment?
Such all good, just fantastic points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't take, the thing is, Sean, like, it doesn't take 30 minutes, it could be like, what if I told you like, okay, it only takes 2 minutes or 5 minutes, to really shift your entire view of the world. Like just 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And my teacher, I used to say, oh, you don't have 10 minutes to meditate. You need to meditate 20 minutes. Like,
I mean,
great.
I had a business coach, I don't know,
Yeah.
5, 6 years ago. And one of the very first activities, totally not related to meditating at all, but one of the first activities she had me do is every 15 minutes. Basically, I just set a timer for every 15 minutes in my entire day,
Wow.
my whole day, but write down what I was doing in that moment every 15
Wow.
minutes. And the point of the drill was, and you did this for a freaking week, painful. But the point
Wow.
was then to go back and look at the actual productive time versus the wasted
Wow.
time. And you would be astonished at how many hours are wasted. And so when somebody says, I don't have 30 minutes to go to the gym, or I don't have 15 minutes to meditate, or I don't have time to eat healthy, it's like I call so much bullshit to that. Because if somebody sincerely did an audit on their day, I'm telling you, your jaw would hit the floor. You're just like, holy shit.
Wow.
There's so many minutes that they just vanish. We'll never ever get them back.
That kind of reminded me of when I was volunteering at the temple, like local temple here in San Diego. We have a moment every 15 minutes. It's funny you said 15 minutes because every 15 minutes there's a bell that rings, like those like a singing ball goes ching, and then whatever you're doing, you just have to be quiet and then take a breath. Everybody does it. You're
Wow.
chatting and then ching, and then you have to be quiet and take a breath. And come back to whatever you're doing. It's magical what it can do.
Amazing. My good friend Susie Adamson, who's a coach, she's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
really
yeah. I know
great coach.
Susie. Yeah.
What we have this group, a mastermind group with agents, and she came on and gave this talk, and she's like, hey, if you have a Mac, you can actually go to your timer or your clock, and there's a setting where you can turn it on so it'll announce the time every 15 minutes. And it's similar to what you're saying about stopping and taking a breath, but it's from a business perspective, it's just so you take inventory of what am I actually doing right now?
Wow.
Because there's so many times you get lost in these thoughts, you start this project,
Totally.
you're over here, and time gets wasted. Like anybody who says they're not wasting time is full of it. Like you can carve out 15 minutes I can carve out 15, and I just haven't done it. And I love this conversation. I appreciate you for it because it's a real good swift kick in the butt for me to get back into my practice of
Yeah.
just feeding my mind first.
Yeah. And then I think this is why I'm so also grateful for you, putting me on this podcast, is because it takes a village. I can work out my garage if I wanted to, but it's nothing like going to the gym and seeing, other people like, I'm like, oh my God, he's so intense or she's so intense. But I'm like, okay, I need to just do my own reps. Like, there's
Funny, I
nothing
grew up
like
in
that.
gyms, so I have a gym in my garage. And I love having a gym in my garage because then I could play my own music and focus on my own stuff.
Right. Yeah. But the point is like I personally need accountability partners,
Yeah.
the community that shows up and like and so I joined Compass about 2 years ago
Okay.
and they were having like 2 months after I joined, they were having a retreat in San Diego and the event coordinator Karen she reached out and said, hey, would you be able to teach meditation at the retreat?
Oh, amazing.
and and I said, I don't know if that's something that I want to take on. And yeah, I ended up teaching and about like 50, 60 people like that I taught, and people were having like breakdown, they're bawling, they're crying, and there was so much that vulnerability that came up during meditation and after meditation that people
Mhm.
gathered and we had a chat and we had discussions, and they asked me if I can do if I can teach it every week.
Mhm.
So I've been teaching ever since, but like every time we get together or in person or like we have this moment of like realization that we're not alone.
Mhm.
We're not crazy in our mind. We all experience this, and we can all help each other to come back to our core, which is
Um,
our heart space. And so yeah, the importance of not just like mindful practice or like but like actually something that you can do for yourself with others. I think that's very, very powerful.
I agree, and I think there's still a lot we don't know about ourselves as humans and in the world around us. And it's weird, and I don't know why it reminded me of this, but so go with me on this weird journey. But in
Yeah,
a
let's do
forest,
it.
the trees obviously all have roots, but all the roots are
Hmm.
intertwined, and
That's
there's
right.
a symbiotic relationship that's happening with all the trees around them. And so when one gets sick, the other trees are actually responding to that. And
Hmm.
they're trading information, if you will,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
figuring out A, how to heal that one, while B, creating immunity for themselves. But I think there is something, to
Ah.
your point, to be said about
Mm.
when you're in a room of people doing that same thing, you energetically are
Yeah.
like as I shared, I practiced kung fu for well over a decade. But being in a room of
Hmm.
people practicing it, the energy is different, and
Right.
there's a weird magnification from being
Hmm.
in that versus just being solo. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it's so interesting to think
Ah,
about.
that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that wisdom. That it hits home for me. It really does. It just I think so often, again, I grew up in a kind of culture with so much like collectivism that's happening, right? Like my family, my friends, they are always on top of me, which is a good thing and also a bad thing. But also, it's like we always take care of each other,
Yeah,
and in American culture, it's very much individualistic, and I
it is.
think it's so easy to feel lonely.
Yeah.
I was part of this men's group, and this gentleman was sharing how he feels lonely even if his wife is next to him, like cuddling, sleeping, and he feels so lonely. He doesn't know what to do. And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean? Like you're physically with somebody and you still feel lonely, and that like loneliness or separateness, it also comes from like being in a mind a lot, being in a head a lot, like that practicing tai chi or practicing meditation with
Mhm.
others or yoga or bicycling or whatever, like book club, that feel of belongingness, feeling of like, okay, I'm part of, because what you mentioned about energy is we are all energy beings, this physical body, we have this, but we are one big energy being experiencing this human body.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't agree more on that one.
Yeah, and I know I know you, and so we've chatted a little bit, but you've created your own little group of people who get together and meditate as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So after the San Diego retreat, I created this, basically a group. We meet up on 6 a.m. every Monday on
Nice.
Zoom, and we meditate for 15 minutes. Very short.
I love
From
that.
6 to 6:05, we just I let people in, make them a safe space.
Yeah.
Oftentimes some people are driving, some people like cooking. I just let them know to stop whatever they're doing and come back to the present moment. I give them 5 minutes. And from 6:05 to 6:20, we meditate.
Yeah.
And whoever wants to get off the call, great. And then some people stay for like another 10 minutes for like debrief and discussion. Some people have some discoveries or breakdown or like whatever they want to share.
Mm.
And that space of 30 minutes for me is we don't often talk about real estate. We want to speak, or we want to experience what's like being in a heart space.
Mm.
So yeah, it's every Monday at 6 a.m. Pacific.
Oh, I love that. Well, you know what we'll do is if you can just give me or share with me the link so people can get more
Yeah.
information on that, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes. And so people
Okay.
can come find you, or they can, I would say, not waste time, but go on social media, strategically find you, and then turn off their social media.
Yeah. Log out and then find me, and log out, you log in and then find me and log out again.
Exactly. And then log back in to check your DMs to see if you've responded. And then if
Oh
not,
my
log out,
god.
log back in. I'm serious. If you try that, that's a weird journey. But
I'm doing it today.
with regards to your meditation group, what style of, walk me through kind of high level? What's kind of like a natural session?
Yeah, the best thing I learned to do is, instead of coming in with agenda, I really just show up and what's happening, like what I feel collectively,
Yeah.
and I teach it. So every week is very different.
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk about a very specific topic.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very general. So I can't really tell you what it is. For me, it's kind of disservice to come into a place thinking I'm gonna teach this today.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a hard one to answer,
I'd
John.
love that answer, to be honest. It's I always say with real estate, I hate scripts because I can't organically respond. And similar, when I taught Kung Fu, I would walk into a class. Sometimes I would sub and I would just say, hey, like, what do you guys all having the biggest problem with? Is it a punch or a kick? Is it your offense
Yeah.
or your defense? And I would literally build the curriculum with questions. And then everybody would be like, oh, my kick is really bad. And I'm like, is it offense or defense? Is it like, when are you having a problem with it? Is it what type of application? And then I would just kind of reverse engineer it and tailor the whole session for them. And so I
Right.
love that that's how you approach it, because I think, again, energetically, it's very yin and yang. It's like you're looking for the deficit so then you can fill in with whatever that thing is that's collectively needed. And it's always changing.
Right. Right. Yeah, 100%. And I started to, record everything and then post it on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
So if you are feeling, anxiety, there's one that's for anxiety. If you look, like if you want to feel gratitude, there's gratitude. I have a tree meditation, like what you're saying about the community meditation. I love tree meditation, about the feeling of interconnectedness underneath us.
What's your channel?
Just under my name now. I usually put my guided meditation for realtors, but under Jumpei Kontani, you should be able to find my channel.
Awesome. We unfortunately we're at time, but I would love to have you back on. And I would. It's funny. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface, and I'm curious to ask you more
I
questions.
feel like that too.
But I would actually love to have you back on at some point in the near future, and just talk about the different ways when we're in these moments, actual life moments with clients, or we're
Yep.
in the middle of a deal that's blowing up, and how we can be mindful and be present, not only for ourselves, but for our clients, or for that crazy agent on the other side who's just
100%.
sabotaging or whatever it may be. But I would love to talk to you more about the application of it Like we kind of talked about the thing itself, but now talk about it in real life, if you of course have time.
I would love that. I would love that. And I would love to chat with you off the call too. I would love to, you know what I mean?
For sure, call me
I would love
anytime.
to
You
get
got
to know
my
you more.
number.
Yeah. Wonderful. I just
I
love
want to
our
pick your brain
conversation.
as well. I've been super into Japanese denim and seeing that you have
Oh, you are?
core roots. I would love to pick your brain on a couple things.
The Abyss? Which one?
My favorite. It's funny. I'm wearing denim right now. My favorite brand right now is Ironheart.
Ironheart. That one I don't know. That's funny. Okay, I'll look into it. Ironheart.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a Momotaro, Sugarcane. Like there's some really amazing brands, and it's very. We kind of touched on it on during this call, but culturally, the it was very. It's fascinating. Not to like totally go in a different direction with this, but I think it was like the '80s. Levi's was selling off a lot of their equipment to modernize and basically make stuff faster and cheaper, unfortunately. And a lot of companies in Japan bought those machines to
Oh
make them
wow.
the classic old school way.
Yeah.
And they then took that American heritage, that style, and culturally was like, well, how do we make the quality 10 times better? So it
Always.
lasts 10 times longer.
Yeah.
And then the American culture was like, well, how do we produce it cheaper and faster? And like cheaper being the focal point. And so then there was like this huge denim divide in terms of quality. And so it's fascinating. I've been on this rabbit hole of denim and
Yeah.
flannel and things like that. So
I love that. Yeah, I know some Japanese people do not ever wash their denim because they just put it in the freezer and
yeah.
kill the germs, and they never put them in the wash.
You got to have good fades. You got to get, you got to get those amazing fades. Actually, even the CEO of Levi's was talking about how infrequently he washes his denim and got tons of scrutiny for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny.
Awesome, man.
Cool.
I genuinely appreciate your time
Thank
and
you.
everything you shared.
Same. Thank you so much, Sean.
Of course.